I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey everybody, it's Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis, as always, joined by Giulio. G, how are you?
What up?
Man, I'm well. We have a great guest today, our dear friend, comedian Mike Cannon.
Oh, thanks for having me. And just so it's on record and on audio, because I thought we were recording before, but you're both very handsome, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you.
It's very nice, man.
Your words, not mine.
But it sticks out when you sit here. Obviously, the background pops, and it's nice, and you check that out. But you're both handsome men in very different ways, very different styles.
There's something for everyone between the two of us.
There really is, because Giulio has Europe meets the streets. You know what I mean? Like he wears urban wear. He's fashionable, and you are straight out of London fog.
Yes.
Like classic.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because everyone calls me a Nazi, but I'm English. We fought the Nazis.
Right? That's not.
We were
right.
on the right side of history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think people are saying Nazi almost as a compliment to your physical attributes.
Well, they were fit.
Yeah.
They did care.
And what they were going for, I
Yes.
think. Because not all Nazis were handsome, I assume.
No.
You know?
No.
I mean, they didn't have that many pixels back then, so you can't,
Can't
truly
really
determine
tell.
their face. Can't go through a Nazi march with a fine-tooth comb.
No, you can't. Mike Cannon, he's got an awesome special coming out on YouTube very soon called
Life Begins. January 24th. Yeah, and Mike Cannon Comedy on YouTube.
I actually went to the special taping.
Went to the second
So
one.
I've seen it, and it was humbling for
I
me.
heard it was great.
Oh, that's nice.
It was humbling for me because it was so full of jokes. You did not let us breathe as an audience.
Yeah.
There was no moment of like, what's next? Or now I'm setting up this next joke. It was like you were hopping on lily pads of jokes to, a bigger pond, which was always linked to more. And it was relentless.
Isn't that a funny state of things, though, where that's like a shocking thing to watch for an hour?
Well,
you're like, man, that was a lot of jokes.
I mean,
when you don't have comedy specials filled with those usually.
It's a lot of jokes.
I'm used to watching my own clips, and there is a lot of breathing in my act.
Oh, I disagree. Each line is funny, and it's funny in the way that you say it. And eventually, when people catch on to you completely personally from a stand-up perspective, I think it'll get bigger and bigger.
Well, that's generous. That's very generous. It was a surgically precise, no fat hour, true hour. I'm talking 60 minutes, nice and round.
Yeah,
at least.
I think I cut it down to 53 for the thing.
Got it.
Because there was one or two things that I just I think I had like an angry 45 seconds describing my father's head. I don't know if there was. I mean, they were jokes to me, but everybody else was like, "Well, this is just we've entered a personal rift."
Okay, so Mike, we are more interested in you though. We've gone on.
I don't know how. China sounds
I have a
great.
question for you now that ties into this.
Yeah.
You performed for the troops.
Yes,
I believe last year.
It was last year because it was I came in my wife the night before I left for the Middle East, and then the day I got back, she told me she was pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
And I did it as a goof. I literally did. We were having sex, and I was telling her like the whole week leading up to me leaving the Middle East. At that point, if I die, I just fuck her over. Like it's fine, whatever. So I was just telling her what a hero I was for going over there and how I'm her soldier being deployed and all this stuff. And as we were having sex, I literally said I'm deploying and just left it in her. And I joking, smacked her on the butt and was like, please carry my seed for if I don't make it. And then the day I got back, she's like, I'm pregnant.
Wow. Corporal Cannon.
Yeah.
It worked.
For sure. Yeah. That's amazing,
That's
dude.
great.
Oh, yeah.
That
shot, Death Star.
Well, forgive me for asking a very personal question, but was that out of the ordinary? Were you guys?
Oh yeah, no, I was pulling, dude.
Huh.
I've been pulling for a long time, and we hadn't been on birth control for years. So I just assumed, like, I didn't know pullout was as effective as it is. I just assumed I was a poison man. You know, I smoke a ton of weed. I've done countless amounts of drugs in my life. I did steroids, which is supposed to rid your body of fucking sperm. I've done everything possible to get rid of, to, you know, make myself sterile. And no, first shot that I like left it in, it worked.
Jordan, bro.
Well, Kobe.
Ari Shaffir tells a great joke about that in his special.
Oh yeah.
He goes, pulling out works all the time. He's like, it's incredible. You know what doesn't work? Barely pulling out. As in, like, hey, you should check. You know?
Dude, I had a joke about it that I had to take out of my act, and it didn't get on my first album. It's on YouTube, but like, I had joked that I would always pull early and just like Louis it in front of my wife for the last like 2 minutes. I'd be that, like, if I felt the slightest rumble, I was out.
Yeah,
I didn't leave it up to chance.
Dude, my pullout game is terrible. Fortunately, my girlfriend's on birth control, so whatever. We're cream pieing all the time. But
hell yeah, dog.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
We're a couple bakers, you know. So, but my pullout
Just
game.
picture you at the foot of a vagina with one of those custard things.
Happy birthday, Sylvia. So my pullout game, you know, I would always hear black people talking about how good their pullout game was, and I realized my pullout game was terrible because I would pull out too early and then like jerk it for a minute and then be like, "Can I go back in?" Like, and then they'd be like, "I'm not turned on anymore. This has been horrible for me." And you know, you go in and out, and it's just awful. But
yeah, that's happened. That sometimes happens.
yeah, that'll happen.
That's why you got to be effective with your own masturbation as well. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Well, dude, there's a video during that trip that you took of you getting attacked by a dog.
Yeah.
And
It's the closing bit to my special.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
You don't have to talk about it if you don't want.
Oh,
I'll
I'll tell the real
I would love to
story,
hear about
the
that.
non-punched up.
I saw the
fucking joke
video,
horseshit.
and it looked like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And then in the middle of the video, I was like, oh fuck. Is he
Yeah, wasn't
okay?
that cool, man?
I think I messaged you, being like, are you all right, dude?
And what's more pathetic about the whole thing is that I did it for the bit. You know, I'm like barely living life for any other reason. It's all stories and hopes of creating content. It's like, even when I dropped the batch to my wife and she's like, I'm pregnant, I'm like, you know, do I want to write abortion bits or do I want to write baby bits? Like, which has a longer shelf life?
Like,
baby,
good.
keep
Tell me
it.
more. Yeah.
But like, you know, I agreed to do it. I also, once they asked any of us, I turned to like Gary Veeder to do it, and he's like, I am a boy-sized man. I can't withstand the force of a dog attacking me. So of course I turned to the other women that were with us, and they're like, no, we're also frail, like frailer
Veeder
than you.
took the video, right?
I think it was either Veeder or Kyle Ocasio
Okay.
who took it, but I did it 4 times. So like, I only have the video of the one. And they give you this jacket, which all the videos I had seen leading up to that, they've given people full suits, right? Like full padded, almost like a mattress thickness.
Also, where
of a
are you?
suit.
Sorry to interrupt.
I'm in where was I? I was in Kuwait.
Okay.
I was in Kuwait, and also that night was the best show of the trip, maybe of my life.
Wow.
It was on Veterans Day in Kuwait, in like this theater in the middle of this fucking base, and like, I mean, they gave us like wood plaques. They were so thrilled for us to be there. Like, it's like emotional to talk about. It was crazy, man. We're like, this is why we came. The you know, every other show was great as well, but that show was like, it was just everything you would ever want out of that.
You're right.
You know, out of that experience. And I remember I even lifted up my my shirt sleeve because, you know, spoiler alert, the dog bit through the fucking jacket.
Oh.
So it was pinpoint accurate in the sense that it like got on the jacket. I was worried about my legs or my neck or whatever. No, it got me on the arm, but the jacket was so thin and like, you know, horseshit. It got through my arm 4 times, every single time. And each time it bit the exact same spot.
That's crazy.
Like to the freckle, dude.
That's
The
crazy.
same spot, teeth locked in, the whole thing. I think I might have like even a light scar for it now.
Fuck.
But I remember after the last time, I took the jacket off and I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding. I just got
Holy
actually bit buy a fucking dog, and they're like, you know, now we're taking pictures with the thing, and they're like, oh, pet it, and I'm like, no, like, like no,
Fuck
dude.
this dog.
Yeah, man.
German Shepherd?
It was a Belgian Malinois or whatever,
right.
Malinois. I think that's it, but it's like from the same family. It was 105 pounds. The guy who was its master or trainer,
Handler,
he was like a human Ninja Turtle. He was 6'5", bald-headed, like light-skinned black guy that was so jacked it almost seemed like he shouldn't serve. Like, it's like, who are you going against that's gonna stop you, man? You could win this fucking thing on your own.
Right. Yeah.
And then that dog and that guy actually got deployed like 2 hours after we left.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, which is
That's
like
fucking cool.
it's cool, but also like a sobering reminder of how fucking real this shit is, man. Like, we were just having a conversation with this guy, you know, casually. He's got, you know, he's comfortable in his safety, and like the dog is okay, whatever. Then they get sent into active war zone,
Right.
And they're like, the dog's finding mines, the dog's at
Were they
at
like
risk.
they go to
like,
Syria or something?
I think so, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give their coordinates, but yeah, but I think they probably went over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
great.
given every
Mike still
detail.
got the dog on Find My iPhone. Just like,
My phone starts barking every time I look at.
You're just on the walkie. You're like, shh. Urban warfare. You're clear.
Dude, that trip was so wild though, because like, so that happened. We saw these, we were in Bahrain. That was our last thing. And they shared, you know, the Bahrainians and the Americans shared a base. They sometimes shared a base with like the Italians, the French, like, you know, anybody who was kind of like allied forces, I guess. And we were there to check out these old ass Air Force planes, like from the 60s, that they still fucking use. So it's actually on its last tour. They're finally getting brand new planes, like, you know, next month, which is crazy because they're using 50-year-old or older aircrafts. And so we're in Bahrain, and we're on this plane, and they're giving us a tour of the whole thing. And out of nowhere, 6 Marines show up on the plane, guns pointed at us. What the fuck is going on? Get the fuck off the plane. Like, and the Air Force is like, oh, we communicated this. They're like, get off the plane. Like, at gunpoint to us, they like, we're like marching off the plane. Like, what the fuck is going on? Apparently, so they have these brand new jets that don't need a jetway to take off. They literally elevate off the ground
sick,
and
dude.
then go 45 degrees and then, you know, ET into the universe.
That's fire.
So the day before, Russians, this is totally not cool for me to talk about, but Russians landed on this base and they thought World War III started. Like, so they unannounced, I guess they had cleared it with Bahrainians. The Bahrainians forgot to tell Americans. There's obviously rising escalation tensions between Americans and Russians. And so these like MiGs, these Russian MiGs landed on the base, and the Marines had them get off their fucking planes at gunpoint.
Wow.
And so they were still on high alert because they have these brand new top secret jets that are all over YouTube. So I don't know what they're pissed about. But yeah.
also, one of the Die Hard movies had one.
Is that right?
The third or fourth, yeah. Die Hard or Another Day.
Right.
Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sorry.
That's all. No, it doesn't matter. That was the end of the story. They just took us off and they were like, yeah, you guys can't go on a tour. We want you in the cafeteria and performing, and then get the fuck off our base. It was crazy.
And you're like, yo, bro, and you just lift up your sleeve.
yeah. Like,
I'm one of you, bro.
I got the Marine bite.
Semper Fi, dude.
It's like in the air up there when he just shows his
yeah.
tribal scar under his dick.
Dude, that is a movie that just didn't hold up, man. I watched it recently, and if you just show Kevin Bacon being like, I blew out my knee. It's just like the worst movie of all time, dude. Like, this movie's so stupid, dude.
The Jimmy Dolan shake and bake. It's like, first I go right, grasshopper. It's like so bizarre.
I know. That movie does not hold up. That's funny, though. But, dude, very cool.
Yeah, very cool. So that's a pretty, I don't know if we would call that a mistake, but obviously the theme of our podcast is we like to ask our guests about some moments in their career or their life that you look back on and think, my God, that was a really tough moment because of something I did wrong.
My choice.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you have any of those?
Yeah, but I think all of my mistakes have kind of led to like decent stuff.
Yeah, that's always the answer, Mike. We want to hear about the real you.
So the real shit. I told this story on Girls Gotta Eat, but this was like a big like it was kind of a traumatic moment in my life simply because of what I was going through at the time. So like I'm on steroids. I'm fucking. A lot of my friends are dying. My grandpa died. No, from like drunk driving accidents and cancer and stuff like that. Weirdly
what kind
enough.
of steroids are you taking?
I took what's called a pro steroid. So it was actually sold over the counter, and they were able to do that while it was going through the FDA process. So I think it was, I did methyl D and M1T, which are the equivalent to like D-ball and Winstrol. And
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Winstrol. Yeah.
I'll explain. D-ball is a big puffing up. You're gaining weight. You're putting on a ton of mass, right?
Would be good for Fat Francis. Yeah.
Winstrol. That might be good for Fat Francis if he's fat because it shaves all of the fat and builds lean muscle and basically turns you into Brad Pitt from Fight Club.
Wow.
It's great. So on top of that, I was also taking clenbuterol, which is what is that but redheaded Mexican boxer? Canelo Alvarez.
right.
That's
Like
what he
Carrot
got.
Top?
Louis C.K. That's what Louis Bucks. No, but that's what Canelo Alvarez got caught with taking before the second Triple G fight.
Yeah.
So, and he
What's
blamed
Triple
tainted
G?
meat. Shit, I don't know.
He's another boxer.
It's a
Like an
person?
incredible
That's a guy.
boxer. Yeah. So he got caught with that, and it basically, that stuff is a horse asthma medication that completely torches your body of fat and builds lean muscle. So I took that while I was taking the bulking agent, and I was like 205 of just like insanity.
Do you have any pictures from that period
Were
of
you
your life?
angry?
I don't yes, but I was angry anyway. But I don't know where they are because so it sounds like bullshit, but my parents got a divorce at the same time, and like so all of my heirlooms were like shifting from my grandma's house to my dad's apartment to my mom wherever she was living to like then with us and like and through several moves. So I don't have a lot of pictures from even my childhood, which is crazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I not that I didn't believe you. I would have been so curious to see what you looked like.
I have to find some soon. My sister, I think, has more shit than I do, so I want to kind of go through what she has. But I mean, there's a whole period of my life where girls thought I was Puerto Rican because I was on my college basketball team. I was one of two white kids, and I was like searching for an identity. So this might be a big oops. Also, I had a tape up haircut with like the full lineup. I wore Pele jeans with like patches on them, white on white Air Force Ones, XXX long white tees, like, and I could dance. So when I went out with my teammates to clubs, girls were like, "Yeah, Poppy," and I'm like, "Nope, just Irish."
Hilarious.
yeah.
That's great.
I love that. I flirted with that kind of image a little bit when I was in like 7th and 8th grade.
I changed my accent, which sucks.
Yeah.
Talking like this?
No.
Yo, bro.
Dude,
bro,
I wish
yo.
I adopted full Hispanic, but no, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
Like gross, dude. And then I mean, it went to such a level that I like over whited myself the following year.
Well, interesting, yeah, because you are very articulate. You are
that's
somebody
nice.
who comes up with ways of describing things that I have no idea how you got there. You know,
Hit your
ever notice that?
consonants too. You pronounce
Yeah.
things well.
And
People online call that gay.
You have good diction.
yeah.
That's funny.
But by my teammates, I was given the green light to say the N-word.
See, I've heard of this happening,
Yeah.
and I can't fathom it.
It lasted 3 days. Like it really did. It lasted, and I pulled out of my own accord because it just felt uncomfortable and not cool. Like, and it was just casual friendship stuff. They would egg it on almost like it was a kick. They got a kick out of it.
Dude, I just picture you walking into the club and the dance circle happening. You just lean over your boy and be like, "Yo, watch this, ma."
Yeah.
And they're just breaking it down in Tim's.
That's
Dude, we
awesome.
used
Yeah,
to
Poppy.
scrap in the club like all the time. This is before I was drinking.
Where'd you go to school?
RCC. This is community college. So
Okay.
when I was playing 2 years of junior college basketball,
JUCO.
But we would go to like, these all ages clubs because we were all underage. Or I did have a Persian kid's ID named Cameron Coletti, who I played poker with. And he, the fact that I passed for his ID made me want to kill myself every single time because he was a beak-nosed, ugly fuck. It was wild. So he made me feel real bad about
You've
myself.
lived some lifetimes, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
This is great. So, because I remember my freshman year of high school, I went over to a different high school and dancing was big there. And I started getting really into learning, the Crip Walk.
Oh, yeah.
And a little bit of break dancing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every dance, there would be a dance circle that would start and people would just take turns. And it was a big status symbol if you could actually dance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like less talented Channing Tatum. Like
That's what came to mind, actually.
Yeah, I was really trying to be him, and when I saw him in movies, I was like, I could be that guy.
He was
Meanwhile,
tight.
I don't have his jaw or general ability.
Wow.
That's all right.
Very cool. So you were doing steroids. Your friends were dying.
Oh yeah.
Having an ethnic identity crisis.
So there's two ways.
Did you ever wear a do-rag?
Yes. Yeah.
You did.
I wore a do-rag twice. Not like in two separate instances in my life where I did it when I had the tape up, realized it was pointless immediately because I couldn't get waves and my stupid white coarse hair just stuck through the do-rag, so it looked ridiculous. And then I had cornrows my sophomore year when I went full Snow White the next year in like kind of, the pendulum swinging the exact opposite way. I grew my hair out almost like Ashton Kutcher in Butterfly Effect. Like that's how floppy, and Dan Dickau from Gonzaga was like a huge, I loved that guy. And so I had this floppy hair, and an Asian fan of our team, let's call her, she gave me cornrows. And so when I got cornrows, I wore a do-rag to keep them in to class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice,
Strangers seeing that.
Wow.
Huh.
That's a fucking oops.
Yeah.
Cornrows with the do-rag, definitely an oops.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That only lasted for like maybe 3 days actually, because my hair is obviously white and doesn't like stick in that position very well. So it the braids were busting almost.
Was that hard for you? Like when that started happening to you at a very young age, were you like fucked up about it?
What, friends dying and stuff?
No, about like hair being white in college.
Oh, gray, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I meant white as in, like, culturally.
Oh, I thought you meant gray. I thought you meant you were gray.
No, white people, like, white hair, it like,
white
doesn't
person's
stay,
hair.
yeah, it doesn't stay bound in braids as well as a black person's hair.
Gotcha.
And I even put in, like, the got to be glued. I was putting in all this different product to kind of, like, try to keep it at, but yeah, this started happening when I was, like, 21, 22.
Was that, like, crazy?
A little bit, but I think
it's always looked good on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't care. Like, I one of my bald buddies was like, "Oh, going gray there," and I'm like, buddy. I mean, like
they love to talk about it, man.
It's crazy because it's like, not to mention, like some of my friends are hanging on for dear life. It looks like they fucking buried their hair in an Indian graveyard. Like it's just like sour soil, and it looks like straight Pet Cemetery follicles. Yeah. It's like, dude, just let it go. And
Pull
it's like
it
you're commenting on my horse shit. Come on, man.
No, but I actually love it.
Thank you. Showbiz doesn't.
What? Seriously?
I guess. I mean, since I started getting it, because Giulio, me and you, I think, have known each other since we both started, basically, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so we've each been through, several phases. When we were younger with MTV, they were hiring us and bringing us in for different projects, and that was like a point of contention with that network.
Was it really?
That I was going gray at like 27. They're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do about this?" I was like, I don't know, buy $5 dye and take care of it.
Yeah.
Fucking morons. Like, are you really in television production and the sight of 4 gray hairs is baffling you?
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's like, then beat it.
No, I think it's so unusual and distinct, and like it's sophisticated. It's like salt and pepper, right? Yeah.
I offset the sophistication with the low skin fade. That's how I'm trying to balance things.
Some horn rimmed glasses.
Daddy.
Fuck yeah.
I told this story on Girls Gotta Eat, I think I said, but I used to work at a gymnastics gym. Prior to that, from the time I was like 15 even until I was 20. So like on off periods of basketball and stuff like that, because I couldn't really have a job with basketball. I was at the gym at 5:45 every morning. I got home at 9 at night. And instead of actually going home, I used to go play poker professionally in the city, like a few times a week. Me and my buddies would play. But regardless, one of these was we were playing in town in Rockland County. We were playing poker, and this mother that I had an ongoing flirtatious relationship with hit me up and was like, "Hey, meet me at the gym. Bring a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade." So, which is so ridiculous, and that's what she needs to be lubed up to fuck somebody 25 years.
You guys hooked up?
So I do. I bring it. Me and the mom. She has like one drink. We end up having sex in the gym on the vault and the cheese mat.
Do you know her son or daughter?
So her daughter. This all comes.
This is great, dude.
The cheese mat is a it has a back like this, and then it's like a ramp. It's like a soft ramp, so it looks almost like a perfectly cut out.
I know that thing.
Slice of cheese.
Yeah.
I'm sitting up for this story.
So I
up over here,
and this is the ego boost of all ego boosts, right? I'm 20 years old. I look the best I've ever looked. I'm having sex with this mom who is like so bereft of love or whatever that she is just an insta-comer. She's coming every half a pump. It is ridiculous. I've never been with anybody like that in my entire life. It was wild. So she has to go, like, we finish, whatever. She also made me stay inside of her for a while after. And experienced
deploying,
aftershocks,
as you call it.
Yeah, well, I was like in a condom, like dying in the condom, where like it came to the point where as I'm pulling out, I had to like ensure that I like fished the condom out because I was such a slug dick. It was brutal, right? I basically like left a bag of seed inside of her, and I'm just like trying to rip it out at the same time. So we finished the first time. She wants to go again, but I'm like such a degenerate gambler. I had $500 on the table at my friend's house. So I'm like, no, this was fun, whatever. I go to my friend's house, play poker. Months later, I like go again to visit the gym, and I'm like talking to people. The mother had caught feelings a little bit, so she was texting me, sending me a couple nudes, which at that point was like on flip phone, so you couldn't make out anything. It was like it might have well have been a like game of Snake on a Motorola. Yeah. So but I had shut it down. I'd been like, all right, like I'm going away to school or whatever. I don't know what the fuck I said. I was just like this is not a thing. So
I'm going to Kuwait.
In several years. So I go back to visit, and like I had a recurring relationship with a lot of the gymnasts because they were close to my age. They were like 18, 19 years old. Some of the women on the like official Galaxy Gymnastics team, which is the name of the company. And so I go back to visit, and like I'm talking to some of the gymnasts, and her daughter was 18. And her daughter and I were like having a flirting vibe. And then I came back to kind of work a summer camp there, and it like continued to kind of roll, right? It like me and the daughter like really started vibing. We were flirting. It was becoming apparent that like we enjoyed each other's company. So in the middle of one of the camp days, the mom, who was also working and witnessing and watching all of this, like just a spring flew out of her head. And she flipped the fuck out in front of like 60 or 70 campers, children ranging from 3 to 9.
Oh my God.
She goes, "Don't fuck him! I fucked him!
No
on
way.
the vault and the cheese mat!"
Oh,
Screaming in front of these
my
kids.
God.
Sasha, the Russian head coach, like put a marathon blanket over her and like ushered her into the office of this gym. And you just hear her screaming about fucking me and about how she doesn't want me to fuck her daughter. And it's this whole goddamn like screaming, and like every kid is like just shivering because it's reminding them of their own household. and like finally, after like 20 minutes of this lady melting down in the office, the Russian guy came out and he's like, "You just can't come back. Like you gotta never come back." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got, that's totally fine." And so I got fired from that job, and the daughter and I, after like a couple months of not speaking, she reconnected with me. We were going to hook up, and every single time it was about to happen, one of us would get into a relationship, and the time never worked out, and it never happened.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
So that's the oops.
Never did bang the daughter.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Wow.
What a crazy.
That's great. That's a great story.
That is
Yeah.
a great.
That's a very
story.
great story.
So did you and the daughter later joke about? Did that like fuck the daughter up?
I don't know. I never talked to her about it. I spoke to like some of the other gymnasts who were like, yeah, shit like got weird for a little bit at the gym and like, you know, but it was I'm sure a lot of them dislike me and think I'm a bad guy. But yeah, I never really got to gauge the temperature of the daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oops. What a great episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Mike, where can we find all of your stuff and your upcoming special?
So the big important one, please subscribe to Mike Cannon Comedy on YouTube. The special's coming out I always say July, January 24th, this coming January 24th. So subscribe, Mike Cannon Comedy. It's coming out on midnight on the 23rd, so it's going to be available immediately. You'll get notified. Check it out. I have special guest appearances from Colin Quinn, Robert Kelly, Jim Norton, Rich Voss, and Keith Robinson on my special. They all do what they do best, which is just say awful things about me, you know, on it. And I'm really proud of it. So just check that out. And Irish Goodbye Podcast. Those are my two things.
Hell yeah. G, how about you? Where can we find you?
Not Julio on Instagram. Fucking at Oops the Podcast, baby.
Yeah.
Check us out.
Great show.
You
I
guys
love it.
know us, Oops the Podcast. I'm in Philly at Helium, March 5th to the 7th. Get tickets for that at francisellis.com. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.